going in. Boston moves forward, they're in the gate, and they're off. Renesmee broke very alertly but does not press on, and is now overtaken out wider by Warminster. And then in a very close third is Prince Nabil. At the back of the pack is Tomahawk King in the very early stages, with Congressbury last but one. But they are very tightly stacked up as they race down the back stretch. On the inside, Warminster taken on now by Little Eddie. Those are the first two. Hiatus very keen, 3 deep as they go into the turn. Renesmee just stalking the leaders on the inside rail. Then also taking a keen hold, Prince Nabil in 5th position. In 6th is Mr. X as they spin the turn. Congressbury has now improved 1 place, relegating Secret Note to 8th, and Tomahawk King is still 9th and last, although no more than about 6 lengths off the leader, who is Warminster, as they race down towards the final 3 furlongs. So it's Warminster who has got the lead. Little Eddie racing in 2nd. Hiatus, the outside, is in 3rd. Renesmee sticking towards the inside, may well go the cutaway route, being followed into the race by Prince Nabil. Then Congressbury, who's been ridden along. Mr. X, another one who wants that far side rail. Then driven along is Tomahawk King as they race down towards the final furlong. Tailing off at the back is Secret Note. Inside the final furlong, Little Eddie and Oisin Murphy now have the lead and begin to pull clear. They've now gone on by 2 lengths. Renesmee has stayed on into 2nd, but it is Little Eddie in front. Little Eddie wins. Little Eddie beat Renesmee into 2nd, head bob for 3rd, and it's very close between a rallying Warminster and towards the near side Prince Nabil.
Little Eddie back in the winner's enclosure, and Oisin Murphy back in the winner's enclosure as well. A really well-judged ride from stall 7 as well. Managed to grab a spot just off the leaders, and ultimately off what didn't seem like particularly strong fractions up front. When the race turned into a little bit of a sprint, he was able to use his position to best effect and kick on, and the horse has actually shown an admirable attitude to kick on. There were a few in behind who weren't as suited by the way that the race was ran, the likes of a Tomahawk King, who was held up by Charlie Bishop and ultimately has got going as best he could, but just sitting off the pace-setting Warminster, who was a little bit suspect over the trip with so much sprint influence in his pedigree. When they kicked and sprinted away, Little Eddie is given generously. Renesmee has looked like she was going to be a big challenger, but Little Eddie's had far too much for her and shown a clean pair of heels ultimately. To come away nicely as well. It looked a competitive enough race, the one that he took in when we last saw him. That was back in Newmarket in a nursery over 7 furlongs, and was sent off the 9-2 favourite that day, which probably gives you an idea of how competitive that race was on paper. This might have looked competitive on paper, Angus. The market thought it was, but Little Eddie has bolted up in the end.
Anthony, Little Eddie wins under a good ride from Oisin Murphy. The way the race panned out, I think he was definitely well positioned. Cheap Piece is the first time Little Eddie who wins for the Richard Spencer team, beating Renesmee into 2nd place, who was a little bit keen. It's an interesting contest to analyse. We'll go to get George's thoughts now as they jump from the gates. What did you make of the start?
Well, you can see from stall 7, the winner under Oisin Murphy, he was keen to go forward and get a pitch, and you can see as the race is developing, he wanted to cover, and when he realised the pace was slowing, because this was the winner of the race here after they've gone, just as the 5 furlong track goes in, Oisin rolls forward as Kieran O'Neill rolls forward on Warminster and has a box seat position on the leader's girths. And Oisin's in position A now, and he can develop the race when he sees fit. They're not going particularly strong, as you said in the numbers. Yeah, the numbers tell us exactly that. They went steady. 12.65, 12.10, 12.58, 12.76 about now as they steadied round the bend, then a 12.28, and then it turned into a 2 furlong dash. We need to highlight Tomahawk King, who's held up last, and those numbers telling us it's a steadily run affair, and look at his position. He's in a poor place, George, but he finishes off well. He does. He stays on well. The race developed just before the intersection. You see Charlie Bishop's trying to get rolling, but nothing's really leading him through Angus at a key stage. He's looking for a run. He switches right-handed at the intersection, but they've kind of got first run on him, haven't they? Yeah. And he stayed on well under sort of pressure late on. But the winner had the perfect trip. I thought Renesmee ran extremely well. She's a filly who, if she just settled and got into a slightly better rhythm, I think she'd be seen to better effect. Yeah, good ride from Oisin Murphy from 7. His final 2 furlongs, 11.61 and 11.88, much quicker than the rest of the race. So this horse has quickened up in good style, able to save petrol, able to adopt a good position
and then quicken up through that penultimate furlong for that 11.61. So George, it did turn into a bit of a 2 furlong dash.
It did indeed, and the winner was very well positioned to utilise that. I think the cheap pieces have had a positive effect, and the ride's obviously done well. And he's backing up after 126 days of the track, so fair play to Richard Spencer and the team to get this horse here in sort of good order first run back after a break.
Yeah, well done to them, and well done to Oisin Murphy, another winner for him. First time cheap pieces perhaps have helped him with this horse, who was sharp out of the gates and able to adopt a handy position from a wideish draw. Little Edie, 130 joint favourite, Rajasinghe 4-1, and Warminster 14-1 back in third. Tomahawk King, if you're going to take a horse out of the race, that is the one to take out. He was in a very poor position, given it was a steadily run affair, but he did run on quite well in the closing stages. The final time, 1:27.78, and that is over 4 seconds outside standard. Furlong per furlong, Just a Spark put up a better performance in the opener.